It is day 10 of the swimming competition of Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. Indeed, it is the final day. There are 2 sessions that remain. It is this preliminary session in which the heats will be swum, and then indeed 1 final session to come with 16 medals will be contested between a host of swimmers. Welcome to the Tokyo Aquatic Center, this glorious venue that has been hosting the swimming competition that has witnessed well over 50 world records and hundreds of Paralympic records, area records, and indeed national records, never mind the personal bests and season's best of the swimmers. This is what you can expect on the schedule today, starting off with a couple of individual medleys in the SM10 classifications. We don't have any breaststroke on the cards for you today, but plenty of backstroke and butterfly, some freestyle sprints, and then indeed the 4x100 medley relay. That should be a cracker for the men's event. That'll end the morning session as well. But as the officials make their way out onto the pool deck, quick thoughts on what you expect from today's preliminaries.
I do love watching the relays, but ones to watch probably, we're going to get off first with the men's 200-meter IM and the SM10 classification, the ongoing battle between Kripak and Raimondi. Raimondi would definitely love to take down Kripak in this event. I love the women's 100 freestyle, S11. You're going to see Magia, Tylee Wen, Brunsma, Pagonis, the usuals go at it yet again. Another good one, too, is the women's 50 fly, S7. There's going to be Terzi from Italy, and whether or not she can take down the strong contingent of American swimmers in that classification. So a lot of good events coming up on today's program.
We begin, though, with the men's 200-meter individual medley, SM10. Denis Dubrov, who has now been classified to an S8, as he is unable to use his left arm currently, Denis Dubrov, so he finds himself still as the world record and Paralympic record holder. Going in the very first of the 2 heats is Florent Marais, who on day 9 of competition picked up a bronze in the 100-meter backstroke. And Stefano Raimondi is the man to watch in the center lane, World Championship silver medalist. Oh, and Someti is in the house. The mascot has been doing quite a bit of dancing, some entertaining, and boxing clever. Let me tell you, he's been beating drums and he's had a dance-off with a handful of people in the stands. I'm going to say that the Australian team are probably the best of the dancers.
Oh, they definitely won the dance-off. France was looking good, though, for a little while.
So Someti in the house for this final day of competition in the pool. It is the very last of the preliminary sessions. Heats, there are the Australians. Some genuine dancing talent that we saw. And now all on their phones. No more, no more dances for now. But Australia in the pool have looked good throughout this tournament. Estonia, Ireland, France, they're all grouped together, fighting their way and practicing social distancing with the 1 chair break between each of the individuals who find themselves supporting the swimmers. Stefano Raimondi will go in the blue cap. Florent Marais will make sure he has his accreditation with him. He goes for France in lane 2. Cole Pierce of Australia also in this tie, the 18-year-old who's a bronze medalist already, but Stefano Raimondi, he picked up bronze in the 100 fly, did Cole Pierce. A man that might not have been expected to claim a medal coming into this, but has done remarkably well to make sure he has been on the podium. Raimondi, speaking of podiums, this is remarkably his 8th event. He's medaled in 5, and in the 400 free and in the 50 free, he finished 1 place off the podium. Paul Pierce just getting a feel of the water. The Canadian Alexander Elliott, 25-year-old who's made a couple of finals, made 2 of the 3 finals he's swimming already. So the individual medley to get matters underway. This is the SM10 classification. It is for swimmers with the least physical impairment. Raimondi is the favorite, surely, going in lane 4. He's a 2:08 swimmer over this time. Only Maxim Kripak is able to post times close to that. In fact, Kripak is just off Dennis Dubrov's world record in the event. But Raimondi will be looking for another showdown with Kripak and hope that he can come out on top on this occasion. Cole Pierce is looking good in the opening 50-meter fly here, and it looks like the Australian is going to touch first, just ahead of Raimondi, with Marais of France third.
Right. Now, I mean, Raimondi, he does have the advantage here in that he's so much faster if he were to go his time than the rest of the other swimmers that he doesn't have to go all out here, and he can really kind of take it easy, put it on cruise control, because the real showdown is tonight with him and Kripak. And the one advantage that Raimondi does have over Kripak is Raimondi is a phenomenal breaststroker. Kripak, that is his weak leg. So, and here right now, Raimondi, he's kind of, you know, he looks good in the backstroke, doesn't look like he's working too hard. Cole Pierce, though, seems to be having a good swim. He's ahead of Raimondi as they turn into the breaststroke, but look at that underwater from Raimondi. You're gonna see him really fight back now. He doesn't even have to work that hard during this breaststroke. He's just so fast at it.
Oh, this is one of the events when you're really challenging for medals. Although this is the heats and you can take a little off, 200 IM is generally all about pacing. If you go out too hard, you have the danger of getting caught in the final 50 as you tighten up. If you go out too slow, you have too much work left to do. And again, every one of these swimmers will have a race plan. It's about executing that race plan in the event.
Yeah, and right now, Alex Elliott, also from Canada, coming up on Cole Pierce in that breaststroke. Sometimes that breaststroke, it's such a weak leg for certain swimmers. Raimondi, though, doesn't have that problem. He's got the opposite problem. Breaststroke is his best leg. And, of course, he's a great freestyler, but at this point, he has just shut it down. Cole Pierce, though, looking to make a late charge.
So Cole Pierce does put himself into second position as he pulls away from Alexander Elliott, going for Canada in 5. But this is going to be Raimondi, surely. He's not going to want to be out-touched at the wall. Just a little glance as he turns his head in the water in towards Cole Pierce to check where he is. Raimondi is going to touch ahead of Pierce with Elliott third. Coming home now, Gorzalek of Poland to touch 2:22.79. And Marais is a little off the pace as he hits the wall in 2:27.75. But a good win from Raimondi at 2:16.65. Again, well off his pace, over a second slower over each of the legs, but he is the quality act in this first heat of 2.
He is. Cole Pierce, he got off the block nicely there, but immediately coming into this fly, Raimondi with that beautiful underwater. You see Raimondi, he breathes to his side, then he comes into the backstroke, very clean stroke. He's not, rotation isn't particularly fast here, but this is where Raimondi shines. It's that breaststroke. Such a high stroke, and he is undoubtedly the best breaststroker in this classification. He's already won gold and then comes home nicely in the freestyle. He wasn't even breathing that hard after the swim. That's how easy he was able to take it and yet still win his heat.
So very comfortable for Stefano Raimondi of Italy, who is quickest in the first heat ahead of Cole Pierce, Alexander Elliott. Gorzalek and Marais will be watching the times of the second heat. To the second heat of 2, it's 6 swimmers who are going head-to-head, but the World Championship bronze medalist Bas Takin will take on the silver medalist of 2016 and the reigning world champion Maxim Kripak, as Kripak is showing his class. There is Takin of Team Netherlands. This is the man who's reeling off the medals with almost effortless ease. 4 golds in 6 events so far. Silver in the men's 50 free and a bronze in the 4x100 freestyle relay, 34 points for Kripak. But he goes now as the firm favorite. Very good butterfly stroker, very good backstroker, excellent freestyler. If he does have an element of weakness, it comes in the breaststroke, but that is relative. So Kripak getting away very quickly. Kripak and Strasik of Czech Republic is going along nicely in the fly. Good fly stroker, but needs to get himself into a good position in the front. But Kripak is He's not really going out that hard.
No, and
but he's so far in front.
He is. I mean, one of the things about Kripak is that he doesn't always look like he's going that fast, but then you look at the times and you realize he is going fast.
He's going fast.
I mean, his strokes, he doesn't have a really super high turnover rate, but, you know, he's so strong underwater and he catches a lot. And right now, I mean, you see this happening right now. Look at his head position. He's not really moving it at all. And he's already way far ahead of everyone else with this backstroke. He's probably taking it fairly, he's pretty comfortable right now. You know, the one thing I'd say, though, is that Dubrow did beat him in Rio, and we know how much Kripak does not like to get a silver, anything but gold. So he will be looking to get the gold tonight. And I think he'd also love to break that world record if at all possible, but he's going to have to get through this breaststroke first.
Yeah, it's the breaststroke that's really going to hold him back, if anything, is Kripak. But Bas Tucken is catching up very nicely. He's a very prominent breaststroker, is Bas Tucken. And he'll be hoping that his World Championship bronze could see him further up. There's the Dutch swimmer. Very good start, but incredibly powerful kick, and gets so much power through the water with that kick of his, breathing on every stroke. Certainly in the individual medley, expending far more energy than in just a one-stroke event. But Bas Tucken has made up some good ground here. Kripak, though, will comfortably bring this home.
Yeah, exactly. Kripak, he looks like he's going out for a nice leisurely swim, just a warm-up. Bas Tucken does sometimes swim preliminaries much harder than Kripak or Raimondi, but right now Bas Tucken also looks like he's pretty comfortable in shutting it down. I think there is going to be a battle tonight, though, between Tucken and Raimondi, especially for that silver, because Kripak should be way far ahead.
Well, Kripak does win by a very comfortable margin after his opening fly and his backstroke. He was so far ahead, just took his foot off the pedal, so to speak. The 2:12. Strasik does touch for third. Tadeusz Strasik of Czech Republic. There's a good finish from the Czech swimmer going in lane 7. Maxim Kripak, 2:12.78. That'll seem fastest, and into lane 4, where he prefers to be swimming.
And coming off the blocks for Kripak, already he dives in. I mean, even after his underwater, he was basically already in first here, and he comes into the fly. We know what a strong flyer he is. He does have that side breathing stroke, and sometimes he and Raimondi are looking away from each other. Then he comes into the backstroke. Kripak also a great backstroke. If there's any leg he's weak on, it would be this breaststroke leg. That is where he is slightly vulnerable to swimmers like Bas Tucken and Raimondi, but not a problem for him, because then he comes back home strong in the freestyle.
So Kripak ahead of Tucken with a very good Strasik. Making himself, well, I have just seen a change in the results. Bas Tucken has been disqualified. So we will get that through to you momentarily, but I can confirm this is the official result now. Bas Tucken has been disqualified. And not too happy about that, but I can tell you that Lima de Souza might be a little happy, and Isaev will sneak into the final with that time. So advancing to the final, Artem Isaev will be in that final. Maxim Kripak, Raimondi, Kolpius. We might have a swim-off, it seems, for the 8th place.
This is the women's 200-meter individual medley SM10 heats.
Now to the heats of the women's 200-meter individual medley SM10. Lisa Krieger stands out. World Championship silver medalist is Lisa Krieger. Very strong backstroker and breaststroker. Sophie Pascoe's world record, 2:24.90. It's potentially within reach of the likes of Krieger and Zederveld, maybe even Jasmine Greenwood in the years to come. Michaela Jenkins goes for USA in lane 3, already a double gold medalist at these games now. But it's a good start for Jasmine Greenwood again, the Australian teenager, going off very hard and in a stroke that she's accustomed to swimming well. She's a silver medalist in the 100 fly. She's looking to take an advantage to the wall in 50.
Now, unsurprisingly, Michaela Jenkins, this is her leg. We know what a strong butterflyer she is. Lisa Krieger, though, she needs to be able to keep up with these other swimmers during the fly leg. And now we come into the backstroke. Michaela Jenkins not as strong as of a backstroker, and this is where Lisa Krieger is going to start to come up. Krieger also, she was 4th in this event in Rio, so she's definitely looking to get herself on the medal stand. This is a strong field, though, because you have coming up in the next heat Aurélie Rivard, and we know how well she's swimming after she obliterated the world record in the 400 freestyle, and also Zederveld from the Netherlands, and she's such a strong breaststroker, also smashing that world record. So, you know, this is a strong field. Even with the absence of Sophie Pascoe, these swimmers, they are on their game.
They will need to be on their game. It's Jasmine Greenwood who touches at the 100 mark, a 1:10.85, just ahead of Lisa Krieger, who's 0.07 of a second down on her, while Michaela Jenkins falls a little off the pace. It was Zhang Meng of China who touched 4th quickest, and Kira Stevens is a little off the pace at a 1:17. Breaststroke to come, and this is where Rivard is going to struggle just a little, and Krieger will come into her own.
And you can see already Greenwood was ahead at the backstroke, and now Lisa Krieger has just taken it at the breaststroke. She's now about a body length ahead of Greenwood. So unless Greenwood has something spectacular stored for us in the freestyle, this should be Krieger's heat.
A turn and go, so Krieger of Netherlands. She'll have a relatively easy swim back home. Greenwood might just be young enough to want it enough to have a good old challenge for Krieger here and push the Dutch swimmer. A battle developing between Zhang and Jenkins going in lane 2 and 3, but Krieger and Greenwood are well ahead at the moment. And Kira Stevens of Australia finds herself down on the field, but Krieger is going to come to the wall first, well outside of world record time, but a decent pace nonetheless, a 2:30, as Greenwood touches 2nd, and 3rd it'll be Jenkins of the United States, just ahead of Zhang, with Stevens making her way to the wall now. Composed race from Krieger. Don't expend all your energy at once. Take it a little easier. Stick with the 2 stronger fly swimmers in the opening 50, and this race is yours.
Now going out, no surprise here. It was Michaela Jenkins. She didn't have the strongest underwater, but you know, she's got that beautiful fly, and she comes in. Greenwood, Krieger, Jenkins, all closely packed together in the fly. Then coming into the backstroke, this is where Jenkins started to fade, and you saw Greenwood take it. But then the breaststroke was all about Lisa Krieger. She's such a good breaststroker. She gets unbelievable height on everything, and this is where she just took it, and then she maintained that lead in the freestyle despite Greenwood charging behind her.
Confirming the results, Krieger ahead of Greenwood, ahead of Jenkins, around about the 2:30 mark. It's a decent time to post, and top 4 should be comfortably through to the final. Going in the second heat of 2 in this women's 200-meter IM SM10. Aurélie Rivard goes in 3. Chantal Zederveld goes in 4. And Bianca Papp, a gold medalist already at these games. She goes in lane 5, but it'll be difficult to look beyond Chantal Zederveld here. The Dutch duo of Lisa Krieger and Chantal Zederveld, but Bianca Papp, having picked up gold in the women's 100 backstroke and silver in the 400 free, having a great Tokyo 2020. Zederveld, though. One to watch is Chantal Zederveld, the world champion in this event. Aurélie Rivard was the silver medalist in 2016. She'll go in lane 3, while Papp, the world championship bronze medalist and already a Paralympic Games champion at these games, finds herself going in 5. Sidorenko of RPC in 2. She's a stronger fly swimmer. And it's just a little off the pace here.
So no surprise, Zederveld out very quick in the butterfly. That is one of her strong legs. If Zederveld does have a weakness, though, it's right here in this backstroke. Rivard, she was a medalist in the backstroke. If she wants to come up a little bit, this would be the place to do it. Bianca Papp as well, an excellent backstroker. We saw this already from her. So Zederveld starting to get past a little bit from both Papp on the left and Aurélie Rivard on the right.
Yeah, Rivard, quality swimmer all round is Aurélie Rivard. One of the few athletes who's been able to break a world record in the preliminaries and in the heats. Zederveld holding on. In the breaststroke, she's really strong. Bianca Papp into the breaststroke first.
And what a turn from Zederveld. I mean, just the use of her underwater, she already caught herself up to Papp. Papp's got that unbelievable backstroke, but that is no match for the breaststroke of Zederveld coming in right now. World record holder. We already saw her break that world record here in Tokyo, and now she's using the breaststroke again. Also, don't forget, Zederveld didn't have the 400 freestyle, so she's a little bit more well-rested than Rivard next to her.
Yeah, she's gone for quality rather than quantity in terms of the events that she would swim at Tokyo 2020. But this breaststroke leg, anywhere close to a body length in front of Zederveld is going to be a lead that is so easily nullified. And she's going to comfortably stroke home here. Bianca Papp, she expended so much energy in winning that 100 backstroke gold on day 9 of competition in the morning of day 10. This is ultimately a watch to see how her body is going to respond. Rivard will come home third, second will be Papp, but the victor in this second heat, a 2:28.40, Chantal Zederveld will go for Netherlands alongside Lisa Kricher in the final, and the Dutch duo are looking for a little Dutch delight. As they finished first and second at the World Championships, they'll be looking for first and second at the Paralympic Games. Chantal Zederveld at 2:28.40. And she goes as the winner in Heat 2 into this final.
And here, Zederveld, she always attacks every single race that she swims, no matter if it's prelims or finals. She's just such a fun swimmer to watch because of this. Her fly is strong. You can see Papp trying to hang with her in the butterfly. Then they come into the backstroke, which, you know, is for sure Zederveld's weakest leg. And we know how good Papp is. You can see her just really using the wall. But then there is no swimmer that is a match for Zederveld in the breaststroke. She just uses that to her advantage, really extending that lead and coming home strong in the freestyle. You know, you wonder with Zederveld, Krieger, Greenwood, and Papp whether or not they're going to try and keep the Canadian Rivard off the medal stand in that. That would be a huge upset.
It would be. Zederveld, Papp, and Rivard, the silver medalist of Rio, finds herself qualifying third fastest at 2:41.68. I think that means Kira Stevens is into the final. Indeed, that is. Kira Stevens takes out Sidorenko for that final spot. But it's the two Dutch swimmers who will be in 4 and 5. Jasmine Greenwood, Bianca Papp, Aurélie Rivard, Michaela Jenkins. That's a strong field. Now to the men's 100-meter backstroke S6 we go. And we have the first of 3 heats. And World Championship bronze medalist Matthias D'Andrade of Argentina will go in lane 4.
This is Heat 1.
Quick look down the line. There's Wang of People's Republic of China, the 30-year-old. Gold medalist in the 50 fly already. 2 lengths of this pool in the men's 100 backstroke S6. Andrade will be favorite. Among the fastest times in the world this year for Andrade of Argentina. He finished second at the Berlin World Series in June behind Jia Hongwang, but in a really quick time. At the moment it is Wang who takes it out, but while he'll have the advantage off the walls and certainly from the start in the stroke, he is far from the quickest. It is Andrade who's pushing the pace here.
Yeah, Wang's start, I mean, you can't take anything away from that. Some of the Chinese swimmers, they hold the towel in their mouth. Wang uses it, he holds it a bit with his arm, and he gets out so far ahead. But then once they get into the stroke, up, and here comes Wang again on the turn. You can't discount his walls, but Andrade's stroke, because he has the use of 2 arms, he can really keep up that pace. He just blows by Wang once they get into the lap.
It's the second fastest time of the world this year for Andrade, and he's not showing any signs of tiring here. That'll be a fairly comfortable stroke to the wall. And 1:15.47 he swam as the second fastest around the world this year, and he's going to come to the wall in under that time. So a 1:14.38, that's a solid time to post in the preliminaries for Andrade, as he touches ahead of Wang Jingang, and third is Vyacheslav Lenski, already a medalist at these championships. He'll take that. He looks relatively pleased with the effort. A 1:14.38. Bear in mind, with 3 heats to come, it's sometimes difficult to take it a little too easy, because you've got another 2 sets of swimmers to go rather than 1.
And you see just the distance that Wang gets off the start. He's still underwater as the other swimmers are coming into their stroke. Now, when we go into the turn, again, Wang is behind, but then he uses the wall so effectively. But once they get into the stroke itself, it is all about Andrade. Now, he went 1:14.38. It's definitely, well, it's very likely going to take sub 1:15 to medal here. So he went 1:14.38. That's why he's so happy with this time. I mean, he didn't take it easy at all during this preliminary swim.
No, he's clearly feeling confident. You don't swim in the preliminaries at a quick pace unless you are feeling an element of confidence about your swimming. So Andrade has hit the wall first ahead of Wang Jingang. Vyacheslav Lenski, third quickest. Gabriel Malunda Oliveira. I think that time of 1:24 is going to be well outside the qualifying time for the finals, given the swimmers to come. The start list that includes the split-born world champion Dino Sinovcic of Croatia. Antonio Fantin, maybe something to prove for the Italian after losing out in what was set to be his favorite event, the 400 freestyle. He lost out to Brazilian Thaleson Glock. There is the Italian, Antonio Fantin. There were some very serious discussions with the technical teams. Fantin involved in those, and you just get a feeling that he was feeling he should have done better in that 400. This is the reigning world champion from Croatia. Laurent Chardin of France goes in lane 5. There he is. Man who's continued to surf and bodyboard despite the shark attack that took his arm and leg. He goes in 5 outside of Sinovcic, the world champion. So what does Fantin do today in your opinion with this race? Is there going to be an element of I need to get something back and I need to do it now, or does he accept that he's not amongst the fastest in the world over this event?
A swimmer like Fantin, he's so competitive, you never accept that type of mentality. Now, this is not his best event, so there's also just an element in that there's less pressure for him. You know, he can go out, he can swim. Right now, he's actually behind. He's in last place, right? So I don't think he's taking it too easy, but at the same time, this is not his best event. So just probably a lot less worried about it. He's for sure a back half swimmer, But and he's going to have to make up a lot of ground if he even wants to make it into the final at this point, given how competitive this heat is. Now, the swimmer to watch, though, is Synovchik right in the middle of the pool. He also looks pretty comfortable right now. Stroke rate is not too high. He's such a quick swimmer that he probably doesn't have to go all out, but given how tight this field is, you can't afford to take it too easy.
So Synovchik ahead of Chardin with Antonio Fantin at the moment trailing as he comes to the wall. It's going to be Brunner of Germany, rather, who is touching third, I imagine, unless he's out-touched by the man in lane 2, Komarov, who's had a strong back half. But Chardin second behind Synovchik, and only just ahead of Komarov is Brunner of Germany. So 1:16.74 already over 2 seconds slower in the second heat, which would bode well for the swimmers going in heat 1.
Yeah, this wasn't a very fast heat at all. You saw this great start from Chardin here. You know, we were talking about him a lot, and he really uses the single leg and single arm to get off as much as he can. But once they get into the stroke, Synovchik, unsurprisingly, takes it. Now, Synovchik had out-touched Yang at the World Championship, so we know he has speed. And he didn't even appear to be working that hard during this preliminary swim. We know his stroke rate can go up a lot, and that tempo, it's going to have to be higher if he wants to match Andrade, who is looking for his medal here.
So for the world champion, while he doesn't get much off the wall, there's plenty that he gets in the water. Just pulling such huge amounts of water. Synovchik ahead of Chardin with Brunner a 1:24. He might be out of the finals. Gary Bugino of Philippines at 2:28. To the third and final heat we go in this men's 100-meter backstroke S6. This is one where Taliesin Glock, the 400-meter champion, freestyle champion, Jia Hongwang is the silver medalist of 2016, and indeed going alongside him, Yang Hong, the world championship silver medalist. So we have some contenders. Again, while it's not his strongest stroke, you don't discount Nelson Crispin going for Colombia, and two, Thijs van Hofwegen. There's a good start and a clean stroke. Not an exceptional start from Van Hofwegen this time, but Jia Hongwang getting off to a very good start. Looks for some pace in the water here as the Chinese swimmer. Going alongside him, though, is the World Championship silver medalist in Yang Hong in 5, but it's Jia Hongwang who's pulling away in the opening 50.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. This is exactly how Jia Hongwang likes to swim it. The issue with Jia, though, is whether or not he can keep up the pace against the very quick finish of the swimmers who are able to use their arms. That means it's incredibly important that Jia Hongwang uses his walls. That wasn't a great turn for him. Yang, a much better turn coming off of the wall here, but Yang at this point likely too far behind to make up that kind of distance against Jia Hongwang. Though Jia Hongwang doesn't really look to be going that quick, kind of taking it easy even in this preliminary swim.
Yeah, he does seem to have slowed his pace and very happy to just stroke his way home. He has picked up 6 individual medals, never a gold. He did win a mixed 4x50 freestyle relay 20-point gold, but he's looking for his first gold at the Paralympic Games, and it's going to be the quickest of the heats here as he comes to the wall in 1:14.15. He'll have lane 4 for the final, and he finishes ahead of Yang Hong. So 2 of the heats going 1:14 low. Now, this is interesting in an event where you would not expect to see these kind of times. Gia looked like he still had plenty to give, and D'Andrade in the closing stages of the win in Heat 1 also looked like there's some energy left in the tank. We might be in for a really fast time in this men's backstroke 100 S6.
And you can see right off the start here, just the dominance of the Chinese swimmers here. They really use their underwaters. Jia Hongwang, a little bit of a better start. Now, coming into this turn here, he did not have the best of turns. You see, he doesn't use his underwater as effectively as we typically see him. Really, Yang uses the wall a lot better, but at this point, he was a little bit far behind. And then coming on the way home, Jia Hongwang, he continued to just maintain this lead. Looked pretty steady. you never discount him. You never know what he has in store, though, for finals. Jung Tao actually holds the world record in this before he was classed down to an S5. And wouldn't Jia Hongguang love to break that?
Certainly records might be on the cards for this evening's final. Day 10 of competition. This is Jia Hongguang taking the third victory in the heats. Hongguang ahead of Young with Thijs van Hofwegen third. Advancing to the final, last man to sneak in is David Sanchez of Spain with that 121. Shadao is there. Van Hofwegen is in. 3 Chinese swimmers. Jia Hongguang the fastest to qualify. The world champion Dino Sinovcic, and indeed the man who was tagged favorite, the bronze medalist from the world champs Andrade of Argentina, all advance.
Women's 100-meter backstroke S6 heats.
To the heats now of the women's 100-meter backstroke S6. And this is going to be a very entertaining and no doubt captivating set of swims. Song Lingling is the world record holder. She will go in lane 3 for China. She's also the world championship silver medalist, and having set that world record on her way to glory at Rio 5 years ago, she will go as surely among the favorites. Elizabeth Marks, however, has gone quicker this year, and the American goes in lane 4. So Song Lingling is only the 3rd fastest in the world this year, but she's got some competition to come. The likes of Elizabeth Marks in this event. Shelby Newkirk of Canada, Nora Meister of Switzerland will go in the 2nd heat. Song Lingling, easily identifiable by that bright pink swim cap. Marks in 4, Jung in lane 5. Jung picked up a bit of a surprise bronze medal at the World Championships, so finding a little bit of form is the teenager who has already shown her prowess as one to watch for the future with golds in the 50 fly and in the 400 free. And it is the 16-year-old who's taking it out hard here, alongside Elizabeth Marks of the United States. On the left of your screen, on the right of your screen is the Chinese teenager Jung, World Championship bronze medalist. Song Lingling is well off the pace here because it looks like Elizaveta Mareshko is keeping pace with the front 2.
Wow, Mareshko, she just can't get rid of Jung. Jung is just, every single swim, it's like a monster swim for her. But right here, Elizabeth Marks has the slight lead. And, you know, she has the use of both arms coming home. That's going to really help her. Jung, though, she has to not fade. She may be feeling that 400-meter freestyle a little bit, where she took over 8 seconds off of the world record. But, you know, Jung, she's so well trained. She's only 16 years old. Will likely have that energy to finish. Right now, though, Elizabeth Marks hanging tough there in first, despite a late charge from Mareshko. We know how much Mareshko loves to race.
Loves to race, loves to win. This is her 6th individual event, and she's looking for a 6th medal. 2 already gold, 2 silvers. Marks looks like she'll touch first. It is Marks just ahead of Mareshko, with Song Lingling of People's Republic of China finishing in 3rd place overall. So behind Mareshko, who is class and quality, undoubtedly, but Jung, Yuyan fading in the back end and falling away, and maybe, as you say, with the amount of energy she expended in the 400 free, perhaps that aside. Elizabeth Marks wins 121.76 for Lizzie Marks, as she is to her friends.
Now coming off the start here, a beautiful start by Jung as expected. We knew she was going to go out pretty quickly, but Elizabeth Marks doesn't let her get too far ahead. Right at the turn, Elizabeth Marks, she gets the tap. She does suffer some vision impairment during her swim, and then she comes off Jung. Again, a beautiful turn, but Elizabeth Marks is using very effectively that wall right there. And then she's able to maintain that lead all the way home, even though Mareshko was coming at her hard. Mareshko, no matter when and where, she's always racing. She doesn't care if it's preliminaries or finals. Elizabeth Marks is able to dive back and get her hand on the wall first there.
So Marks it is ahead of Mareshko, the World Championship silver medalist in Song Lingling defending champion, touching third quickest, a 1:24.15. Zhang, a 1:24.41, out of the top three, but a decent enough time to have hope of making the final. The second heat is relatively stacked as well. Shelby Newkirk of Canada, at the moment the only sub-120 swimmer over the past annual cycle. There is the Canadian, Newkirk. And she's got the 18-year-old Nora Meister alongside her, a Swiss swimmer who's missed out in her favorite event. Now, Verena Schott is the world champion. She goes for Germany in lane 6, but the likes of Hontar, Newkirk and Meister, all faster swimmers over the last annual cycle. The Canadian from Saskatoon goes in lane 4, looking for some success in her strongest event. Now, Nora Meister is a long way off the pace here, and Nora Meister in her favorite event was not looking like she was into the best form of her life. At the moment it is Newkirk, Hontar and Yodorova who are in front.
Right, now Hontar and Newkirk, they were previously S7s and their classification has gone down pretty recently. So if they were strong swimmers in the S7 classification, very likely to be heavy medal contenders now in the S6 classification. They don't have great speed coming off of the walls. Didiorova, unsurprisingly, gets a lot more off of the walls, but then she starts to fade. And right now you see Newkirk really starting to take it. She's got the use of both of her arms. She's pulling a lot of water. She doesn't have a quick turnover rate. In fact, Hontar probably a little bit faster with that turnover rate, but she is catching more, and she's more efficient and stronger under the water.
Well, incredible is Newkirk. She finished in silver medal position at the World Champs swimming in the S7 classification, class down now. She finds herself going into the wall, and while she's a sub-120 swimmer in the S7 classification, which would be a world record time, she is a 1:22.83 at the wall. And she's going to be, I imagine, going for it come final time. Shelby Newkirk of Canada, the gold medal hopeful for the Canadians. So far, only Rivard's gold medals for Canada.
And here at the start, Newkirk and Hontar, both of them right in the middle. Verena Schott, they had an okay start, but it was really Didiorova from the Russian Paralympic Committee that had that stronger start. And again, she's much more effective coming off of the walls because she has the use of her leg there and she uses it underwater. But then coming up, it was Hontar. She's got a relatively slow stroke rate. She's hugging the lane pretty closely, but she's effective underwater, and that's what allowed her to take this heat. Schott, though, from Germany, also a good finish on her end.
So, the results of the heat. Yodorova touches 5th eventually after that promising start. Newkirk, Schott, Meister, and Hontar will make the final with their 1:25. But Mareshko and Marks, while they will go in the center lane, going in lane 3 for the final will be Shelby Newkirk of Canada. Watch her, having been reclassified recently from a 7 to a 6. This is the heats of the men's 100-meter butterfly S8. Two heats. Dennis Dubrov, Robert Griswold, and Luis Andrade going in those central lanes. Robert Griswold has had a great Tokyo 2020 already. And this Griswold surprised many with his gold in the 100 backstroke. Song Maodang, world record holder at 59.19. It's going to take some effort for anybody to go sub 60 seconds. I don't think anybody's quite in that form, but there is Robert Griswold. Well, he won the 100 back. This is a stroke he's also very familiar with. There's Denis Dubrov. Unable to use his right arm. Andrade of Mexico. Going in heat one. Andrade's put in a 104.65 this year. Got Michał Golis of Poland as well. There's Griswold, World Championship silver medalist. Dubrov, quality swimmer. Griswold, World Champion silver medalist. And in lane 6, watch out for the Polish swimmer. He's got one arm, but he's got very powerful use of his legs in this fly stroke. And this is the stroke that is most difficult to master, is the butterfly. And it's got to be one of the most grueling events as well.
It is, and he's only got the use of his one arm here, and already he's fading in the back because the swimmers that have the use of both arms, especially Griswold right now, looking good, going to pass Dubrov. But Dubrov, I mean, he is a quality swimmer. He's one of the last swimmers that we had seen recently in Rio take down a swimmer like Kripak, so you know how good he was. He there was classed as an S10. He's now an S8. So, you know, weaker, and he only has the use of that one arm. But Griswold hanging in there very strong. We know what a good backstroker is. He's having a great meet. And now he's just coming ahead in that fly.
So Griswold is going to make his way to the wall very comfortably ahead of anybody in the pool. Dubrov is going to touch second, I suspect, with Mexico's Andrade third. Is it? No, Zhu. Hai Jiao. Just ahead of Andrade by a tenth of a second. But no doubt about the man who touched first. Robert Griswold of the United States.
So Griswold, he's not the fastest one off the blocks. He does get some assistance due to his impairment, but then really in the first 50, even though he comes up behind, he's got that, he breathes to his left a little bit. He's able to take a peek at who else is in the field, but he's so strong once he gets into his stroke. Dubrov had gone off hard. He's got that great underwater, but Griswold, he doesn't panic at all. He swims his own race. He comes in a little bit of use of the wall in the underwater there, but really coming back. This is where Griswold showed how strong he was, and he really took that heat. 102.52. That's actually a good swim for him. Very good.
That's a very good swim for him. 102.52. Anything approaching 60 seconds will be absolutely great, but a 102.52, quickest by nearly 2 seconds over Dubrov, with silver medalist of 2016, Zhu Haijiao, third. To the second heat of 2 we go, and this features the gold medalist and the bronze medalist from Rio, Demosthenis Mikelantzakis of Greece. Although he won gold in the S9 classification, now swimming in the S8, he is favored for the victory as the world champion. Alberto Amadeo goes alongside him, the Italian silver medalist already here the 400 free, but Amadeo got off to an awful start. Getting off to a brilliant start was Brazil's Silva de Souza, Gabriel Cristiano Silva de Souza, going very strong, and in lane 3, Yang Feng, as we expected. Looking good leading up to the opening 50.
Right, Yang Feng does, of course, have the great underwater and use of his start. And here, he's way ahead of everyone else at the 50. But as that arm starts to fade, he's going to have trouble against the swimmers that have the use of both arms. But right now, also, Mikelantzakis, I mean, here's a surprise. He's way behind Yang Feng. And now they're approaching the 75-meter mark. So Mikelantzakis running out of room to make his move.
Oh, Mikelantzakis is undoubtedly the favorite here as the world champion, European champion, the gold medalist and defending champion. But Mikelantzakis is trying to fight back here. At the moment, it's going to be a battle between Yang Feng and Yang Guanglong, who look to be coming to the wall together. And it is Guanglong ahead of Feng, with Amadeo touching third. This is going to be nerve-wracking for Mikelantzakis, who only touches fifth. So 103.95, and this is the slower of the heats.
I mean, this was a surprise. So Yang Guanglong, he had a good start, and he really established himself, but then it was, at the 50, it was Yang Feng with that really blistering first 50, went out way ahead. Mikolantzakis, you can already see, way behind everyone else. Yang Feng leading for about 75, 80 meters of this 100, but it was really at the end where Yang Guanglong turned it on. He went right past everyone else and got his hand on the wall first. I mean, he just kind of shot out of nowhere there.
I'm trying to... I don't think that Mikolantzakis is into the final here, given his 105. That's it. Mikolantzakis, a 105.69. 103, 104 for Yang Guanglong ahead of Yang Feng. But this in the slower heat. Alberto Amadeo will qualify for the final with his 105, but I don't even know if De Souza will. 105.55. Advancing to the final, Griswold takes it, and De Souza is the last to qualify. So, the European champion, world champion, and defending champion, Demosthenis Mikolantzakis, does not make the final. Silver medalist of Rio, Xu Haijiao, finishes as fifth quickest overall and qualifies for the final. Some seeds falling by the wayside. Men's 50-meter butterfly S7 is next. We have two heats for you. Jadhav of India, Sadi of South Africa, Evan Austin of the United States. This is the event in which he returned to international competition and won gold at the World Championships. Carlos Serrano, World Championship bronze medalist. There he is. So the men's 50 fly, the world record and Paralympic record held by Pan Shuyun. But Evan Austin, already a surprise medalist in the 400 free. He was absolutely delighted with it. There's Christian Sadi, just Tian to most of his friends. Man trained in Stellenbosch under Keith Janssen. So we're to the first heat of two in the men's 50 butterfly S7, just one length of this pool, and this is key to get off to a really good start. Serrano got off to a good start. So to Sadi and Jadhav got off to decent starts, but Evan Austin, once he comes into his stroke, the world champion is looking strong and coming back at Serrano here. Sadi is closing, and so too is To Wei Sung of Singapore. This might be the Singaporean to get there, but Evan Austin, I think, on the stroke is just going to get there. So Austin ahead of To, with Serrano finishing third in the heat. Sadi touching fourth in 30.57, but a good solid swim from Evan Austin. A little more off the start and he's underwater, and he would be well clear.
Now, off the start, Evan Austin does have that leg impairment, so the start is going to be difficult for him. But in a 50, that means he only has one lap. He needs to get out a little bit quicker, and he needs to break himself away from this pack. These swimmers were all very closely bunched together. And Evan Austin, we know what a good butterflyer is. He was actually classed down from Rio, where he was fourth in the 100-meter butterfly. So now he's only got one lap. He can't afford to be too slow in making his move.
Certainly don't want to open the door for anybody over the 50. It is Austin and To of Singapore who goes sub 30. Serrano, the World Championship bronze medalist, finishes third. Sadi finishes fourth. Jadhav of India, a 32-second swim for him. Now to the second heat, in which the World Championship silver medalist and silver medalist of Rio 5 years ago, Yevgeny Bogodaiko, goes up against Andrei Trusov. There's Bogodaiko. He spends so much time in the pool, does the 27-year-old, multiple medalist at the Paralympic Games, but already at these games, the incredibly tall frame of Andrei Trusov. While he had a An awful breaststroke. He's medaled in all of the 6 events that he's had. That was the figure of Rudy Garcia Tolson, one of the all-time greats of para swimming. Garcia Tolson will go in 2 for USA. Trusov and Borodajko. The 2 Ukraine swimmers go in the center lanes, and Trusov is having a superb competition overall. While this is not his strongest event, Trusov, he does look like he is leading just by a tiny margin over Yevgeny Borodajko. The World Championship silver medalist can't keep up pace here. Inaki Basilov of Argentina is coming back at the 2 of them, but Borodajko is going to hold off Basilov, I suspect, while Trusov comes into the wall first. That is a good swim from Trusov, the 29.91. So he'll have a very comfortable lane draw for the final as he touches ahead of Borodajko. A 30.34 second swim. Basilov 30.96. Just inside 31 seconds, but Andrei Trusov, that was a great swim. Really solid swim from a man whose least favorite stroke, arguably, is the fly.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Trusov does typically have a pretty quick start. Borodajko trying to hang in there with him. Borodajko normally spends a lot of time underwater here, and he doesn't really get the chance to make the most of it the way we normally see him do. And Trusov just gets out very quickly and maintains that strong stroke throughout the whole 50-meter butterfly. Now, he went 29.91. Evan Austin from the first heat was actually faster than him, though. So it's going to be a major battle between the 2 of them going into tonight's final.
And Borodajko, never to be discounted. Inaki Basilov at 30.96 as well. Efrosinin at 31.55. It's Garcia Tolson and Niranjan Mukundan of India, who I suspect miss out. Advancing to the final, it is Evan Austin at 29.71 ahead of Toh Wei Sung. Andrei Trusov and Yevgeny Borodajko, 2 Ukrainians, and Carlos Serrano is in the mix. Tiansari is going to require a big swim from either he, Basilov, or Efrosinin to be amongst the medals. To the women's 50-meter butterfly, as 7 heats we go. World record held by Mallory Wegerman in this event, but World Championship bronze medalist will go in the center lane, Julia Terzi. Mallory Wegerman's world record of 33.81. Wegerman will go in the second heat. Terzi, though, this is her 5th event of 5, and in her other 4, she has gone gold, silver, gold, silver. Daniel Doris of Canada, already a medalist at these games as well. The 18-year-old with a brilliant 100 backstroke. And Mackenzie Cohen, a freestyle specialist, who goes in this women's 50 free. Fly, rather. So a sprint. Julia Terzi, once she gets into her stroke, watch her, but quickly off the blocks and using an advantage with a great underwater. Daniel Doris of Canada is looking to add to her silver medal already, and she's set to post a quick time here.
Yeah, I mean, Terzi, she's coming up strong on her. Terzi always with those very strong, very even and controlled strokes. But Danielle Doris, her use of the block, I mean, she's by herself, way ahead of world record.
Well, this is an impressive swim from Danielle Doris of Canada, who does come home in world record time. That's an incredible swim in the preliminaries, a 33.51 seconds. She takes 0.3 of a second off the existing world record. Mallory Wegerman, who'll be going in Heat 2, will have watched this and seen Danielle Doris come out and absolutely destroy her world record. Doris, the 18-year-old silver medalist in the 100 back, has brought the light to Canada early on. That is sensational.
So Danielle Doris flew off the blocks. She has the use of her legs here, and that gives her the early advantage. but she doesn't actually start to cede that lead at all. You can see Terzi coming up behind her and even Mackenzie Cohen, but Danielle Doris just continues to extend that lead. She got out ahead of world record pace, and she didn't let that go. That is exactly how you increase the energy during your preliminaries. You know Mallory Wegerman is watching that, and she's now going to be looking to beat that.
So, Danielle Doris lays down a significant marker. No S7 swimmer has gone faster than Danielle Doris over the 50 fly. 33.51, a new world record, as she finishes well ahead of Julia Terzi. Mackenzie Cohen, third. Tiffany Thomas-Kane, fourth.
This is heat 2.
The second heat of two. Mallory Wegerman, Julia Gaffney will be battling one another. And for Japan, Nishida An goes in lane 6. There's Wegerman and Gaffney alongside one another, the two Americans. Nikita Howarth of New Zealand, a bronze medalist in 2016. Swimming with that broken bone in her arm at these games on medical advice that it wouldn't cause further damage. So badly did she want to compete. And getting underway, quickly off the starting blocks, but the underwater from Howarth is a good one. Mallory Wegerman, though, in the stroke is ahead, and it looks like Nishida An of Japan is pushing very hard. Had a long athletic career that started back in 2008 before taking up para swimming, did Nishida An. But she is starting to fall back as Gaffney comes up. Howarth is falling back a little, and Mallory Wegerman well off her own previous world record, and indeed the Doris world record now, as she touches first ahead of Annie Pallian, closing fast, who touches second. But Mallory Wegerman ahead of Pallian and then Gaffney. Nishida An, 38.39, finished fourth. Howarth fifth, and at 42.35, Camille Berube of Canada in 7. Annie Pallian just enjoying being in the pool. Loving her competition, already a medalist in the relays with our RPC.
So you see how where she gets off the blocks quickly. Wegerman doesn't have that strong of a start, but she does come up and she quickly, and she's got a very long wingspan, and that helps her a lot during this 50-meter butterfly. And you can see she's just so tall that when she uses her arms, she can't help but just start to get ahead of the other swimmers. Now, she went 34.92. She shook her head. It's an okay time for her. She's probably, you know, she saw the world record. Pallian, what a surprise, though, for her. Super excited about that swim. These swimmers are going to be very closely packed tonight, and also that surprise world record from Danielle Doris during the first heat. She's really laid down the gauntlet.
Yep, beautiful from Danielle Doris in the opening heat. Results in the second heat: Mallory Wegerman ahead of Annie Pallian, Julia Gaffney of the United States third, Nishida An at 38.39. It should see her into the final, so too for Nikita Howarth. Danielle Doris, that is a significant marker laid down by the new world record holder now. Danielle Doris of Canada will have the favorite lane ahead of Wegerman and Terzi. Annie Pallian somewhat surprised at her second place finish in the second heat. And Gaffney and Cohen round out 3 Americans in the top 6. To the final of the men's 50-meter backstroke S4. Again, a host of contenders in this event as we head to the sprints. Roman Zhdanov, the world record holder, he'll be going in the second heat. Juan Reyes, the Paralympic record holder, that is likely to go today. Arnost Petracek of Czech Republic, the World Championship silver medalist and the defending champion. But Ami Umar Dadon, a multiple medalist at these games. The 20-year-old Israeli goes in 6. Longhorn of Great Britain and Ernhofer of Austria in the outside lanes here. Gustavo Sanchez of Mexico going in lane 2. Into his stroke, Vinohradets of Ukraine will build throughout the stroke, but leading at the moment is Arnos Petracek, looking really good here, the World Championship silver medalist and defending champion.
Yeah, and what he did was, you know, and this is important in a 50, is he used his wall, he used his underwater to establish a very early lead, and he's right on world record time.
This is a good-looking swim here from Petracek. I fear he might fall just short of this world record without the use of his arms here, but he's coming to the wall very fast, undoubtedly, as he looks to defend his title. He swam a Paralympic record in the morning. So Arnos Petracek goes 41.75, just outside the world record. A very solid swim from the Czech Republic swimmer. Vinohradets touching third quickest after Camacho of Mexico went sub 44 with a 43.99. Good use of the legs throughout the race. There is Camacho. He's still only 16 years old and he's searching for that first medal. The number of fourth place finishes he's got is almost cruel. So Paralympic record for Petracek, a 41.75 he starts with.
So Camacho uses the band for the start, but Petracek, no one can touch this start. He goes out and he's way ahead because he's able to really effectively use that underwater with his legs. Now, he was just ahead of world record, then he was on the bubble of the world record, and then he was right behind it. He started to fade a little as his legs got tired, slammed into the touchpad with his head, but still went 41.75, a great new Paralympic record for him. Probably surprised himself a little bit with that swim for this morning.
Very happy with his swim was Arnos Petracek. A 41.75, he was well clear of anybody else. It was Angel de Jesus Camacho of Mexico who touched second quickest, ahead of Vinohradets, who finished ahead of freestyle gold medalist Ami Omer Dadaon. To the second heat we go. Israel's Ariel Malia finds himself going in lane 1. This is the race, though, of the World Championship bronze medalist and world record holder Roman Zhdanov. Here's Mats Topkin of Estonia. The 23-year-old Estonian he's twice medaled at the European Championships. Now, Petracek has just set the Paralympic record, but the world record is held by that man, Roman Zhdanov. Alongside him is Topkin of Estonia, fourth at the World Championships, Topkin, but he finished second in the Dublin European Championships and third in the Funchal European Championships. Man from Tallinn. Zhdanov, as the world record holder, should be favoured. And wonders how Zhdanov is going to respond to the time that has been swum by Arnos Petracek in the opening heat already at 41.75. Zhdanov will get into his stroke here in an attempt to catch Mats Topkin, who's using his legs going out, but also going very nicely for People's Republic of China in lane 3, Liu Benying.
Now, Zhdanov, though, he just went right past Topkin right there at basically the 25-meter mark. And Zhdanov, he's got that very long wingspan, and he is so effective underwater. He doesn't have a super quick turnover, but what he does underwater makes up for it.
So looking to romp to his third gold medal at these games is Zhdanov, who comes to the wall here. and a 41.77. He is only just 0.02 of a second outside of the new Paralympic record set by Petrocek, so this should be tight. Liu Benying does touch second, and a good swim from Roni Stony Cordero de Silva. He touched third quickest. Strong back end. Jo Gi-sung, though, disappointment for the Korean. He finished with a 53.48, only 7th quickest. And Ariel Malya touching in a 58.81. Topkin 4th. There's Liu Benying. Jo Gi-sung, multiple champion.
So coming off, it was Topkin with that huge early lead because he's able to use his leg underwater and really make the most of it. Zhdanov, though, came back hard, and he went right past Topkin coming into the wall. You know, Zhdanov, he has the use of both arms, and then when Topkin starts to fade with his legs, as he starts to do right there, this is where Zhdanov comes in and takes the heat. You know, he was off the Paralympic record by just 2/100ths of a second. Zhdanov, he doesn't tend to give anything away in his face after a race, so you don't really know what's going on, but you can bet that he definitely wants to beat Petrocek in the final.
So Roman Zhdanov, the world record holder, finishes ahead of Liu Benying, and Roni Stony Cordero de Silva picks up a 3rd place, a 47 for Topkin. Does sneak him into the final. Arnos Petrocek, though, with a Paralympic record, goes fastest into the final. Angel de Sus Camacho will be hoping for his first medal at the Paralympic Games, the 16-year-old who's missed out now 3 times on a podium place.
This is the women's 50-meter backstroke S4.
To the women's 50-meter backstroke S4. First heat, featuring Olga Swiderska among the swimmers to watch. Gina Butcher of Germany, but the World Championship silver medalist Alexandra Stamatopoulou goes in lane 4. The world record held by Cheng Jiao. So going in lane 4, and here is the Greek swimmer. Alongside her will be the dangerous Olga Swiderska. Silver at the World Championships saw Stamatopoulou and could easily have claimed the gold as well. Slight delay as the technical officials just check the starting apparatus for a few of the individuals. Closest to your screen, Kat Swanepoel of South Africa in her 2nd event. Brenda Larry of Malaysia goes in lane 6. "16-year-old Larry of Malaysia, just a 2nd event. But Stamatopoulou in her stroke should be the one to catch, and while Swanepoel does get off to a very fast start going in lane 7, it is Stamatopoulou who into the stroke is the quickest. Very high stroke rate from the South African going in 7, and she's looking on pace here to potentially qualify for the final. Watch out for Butcher of Germany coming back as well. Swiderska seems a little out of it here using the double arm backstroke.
She does. Now, Stamatopoulou, she was previously in S3, so she's been classed up, but this is how good she is. Even though she went up a class, she's still leading the pack here, and she's still a definite medal contender. If not gold, then definitely silver.
So definitely a medal contender. Stamatopoulou is going to come to the wall in 48.36. She'll touch ahead of Kat Swanepoel of South Africa. And 3rd overall will be the German Butcher who touches. But that's a really good swim for Kat Swanepoel, who only entered 2 events, the IM. Stamatopoulou, World Championship silver medalist, then ahead of the occupational therapist Swanepoel. Third place for Butcher. So 48.36. Solid time in the preliminaries.
Now you can see that Stamatopoulos doesn't get the best start. It's really the South African swimmer at the bottom of the screen that went out early, but she's so quick in her turnover rate. That is important in this 50. There's really no one else that can touch this stroke rate. And she went 48.36. That's actually coming very close to the world record and Paralympic record time. You know, I didn't really think that one was in reach, but we may be wrong.
Yeah, we're certainly surprised. I mean, Kat Swanepoel set a massive PB in swimming 52.04, for example, so she seems to be in good form. Stamatopoulos with a 48.36. She goes over 4 seconds below her best and effectively 4.5 seconds below her seed time, Stamatopoulos. So quick times in the pool as Swanepoel finishes behind Stamatopoulos. Butcher ahead of Swiderska. To the second heat we go, and eyes are going to be on the bronze medalist of 2016, because Marina Verbova is now the world champion. Ukraine's Verbova going in the same swim as Natalia Budkova of RPC, Zhou Yunfei of China, and Yulia Safonova. Zhou Yunfei from the Zhou swimming family. She and her sister, both Paralympians. Budkova dangerous, so too Zhou, and Verbova, though, the world champion. Nelly Miranda of Mexico going in 2. How quickly will she go across this? Zofia Gabardolina might be 55 years old, but she maintains the ability to be competitive, although in this backstroke unlikely to be. In the bright pink swim cap is Marina Verbova. But she's not leading, as Liu Yu of China in lane 7 is headed up past 25 meters in front.
This is the second time in this 50 backstroke for the S4 class that we are being surprised by an outside lane. Liu Yu right now looking excellent with that single arm backstroke. She's really turning over quickly. And also Zhou Yunfei from China also looking great.
So Liu Yu, we know she is a strong individual medley swimmer, but she has come home in world record time here. She's taken 0.7 of a second off the existing world record. Well, that is a sensational swim from the IM specialist over this 50-meter sprint, 50-meter backstroke S4. That is a beautiful swim as she touches ahead of Zhou Yunfei with Marina Verbova, bronze medalist in 2016. Touching third quickest in this heat. Zofia Gabardolina comes home now, but alongside her in 7 is a world record that's just gone, a 45.81. Just as we were saying, this is a quick heat and that the world record might be in danger. We didn't need to wait for the final. Zhou Yunfei finishing second in this heat. What a class act from the champion of the IM.
And it is official, a new world record by Liu Yu from China.
So Liu Yu, a world record in the preliminaries.
For the women's 50-meter backstroke S4, heat 2.
What a huge swim in this second heat. You know, right in the beginning, we were all sort of centered in the middle of the pool with Verbova and Zhou, but then Liu Yu came out of nowhere from that lane, and then she just, I mean, she blew her way to a 45.81, killing the world record. You know, maybe she saw that first heat and she saw the 48.36. This record just, it just got obliterated during the second heat. I mean, a bunch of upsets during this preliminary swim.
So Liu Yu, world record time, 45.81 ahead of Zhou Yunfei. Over 4 seconds ahead of second place, who in turn was over 2 seconds ahead of Marina Verbova, the world champion. The two Chinese swimmers, wow. It is going to be a battle. Swanepoel and Stamatopoulou would fancy getting their names in the mix. Good PB for Kant Swanepoel. And Stamatopoulou, fastest time in the world this year for her. But Liu Yu, fastest in the world ever. World record, 45.81. Sensational. This final is going to be an entertaining one. There we go. Starting to hit. Now to the men's 100-meter butterfly S12 heats. In this event, we have a host of medalists, including a multiple gold medalist at these games for Azerbaijan, and indeed a gold medalist in the men's 100 breaststroke in Vali Israfilov, who goes in lane 2. But Raman Salai is among the favorites for the title overall. His older brother Dmitry is the reigning world champion, but Dmitry does not swim in this men's butterfly S12. Sergei Punko without the swim cap, representing RPC. Punko goes in 6. Braden Jason of Australia in 5. So the two Azerbaijani swimmers in this pool now. Vali Israfilov has 1 gold medal and 2 for Raman Salai, who finished outside the medals in the 50 free, but was champion of the 100 free and the 100 back. He's looking to add the 100 butterfly to his collection and become the only 3-time gold medalist out of Azerbaijan.
Salai, he could maybe challenge Stephen Clegg, the world record holder, who we're going to see in the second heat. Going out, Salai went 26.87. That's a very good first 50 split. It's quick. Also chasing him, though, right now is Braden Jason from Australia, who's coming up on him hard during the second 50.
This is a very good second 50 from the 23-year-old Australian. He was out of the medals in the freestyles, the 100 and the 400. He's never medaled at the Paralympic Games. He's never medaled at the World Championships either. He's a fine swimmer, deserves better, and certainly is coming in to challenge Salai. Salai will hold on here as he touches ahead of Braden Jason, with Chufarov of Ukraine third quickest. And then Israfilov in his last event, in his final event, touches well outside the time, a 1:10.59 behind Punko, who touched in a 1:06. At Raman Salai, quality swim, sub 59 seconds.
And look at the power that Salai gets off the blocks even as he goes in. He really attacked this first 50, which is exactly the way you swim a 100-meter butterfly. You need to go out strong, but also keep that first 50 control to ensure that you can come out. But then right here at the bottom of the screen is Braden Jason from Australia, who hung in there during the first 50. He had a great turn coming off the wall and then really caught up to Salai. He looked like he was going to start to challenge him, but then Salai, right at the end, that's where he came back. And he just took this first heat, 58.99, a good solid swim for him during preliminaries, and it'll be interesting to see what he does when he's next to the world record holder, Stephen Clegg.
That is going to be a fantastic swim. Raman Salai against Braden Jason. Danilo Chufarov finishes third, just over 61 seconds. To the second heat we go.
This is heat 2.
Daniel Giraldo of Colombia will go in this race. So too Vashkevich of Belarus going out wide. But Stephen Clegg is the world record holder. And we would like to lay down a marker. You would expect. Going for RPC, Roman Makarov. Goes in lane 5. He'll be on the outside of Stephen Clegg. Makarov, the 37-year-old, in his third event. But bear in mind, Makarov is a 6-time Paralympic Games champion in In Beijing, he was champion. In Athens, he was champion. In Sydney, he was champion. Despite the fact that he's 37 years old, Roman Makarov will be wanting to contest against the likes of Stephen Clegg. Ilya Yaremenko is looking decent, going strong as well. Vashkevich going for Belarus in lane 6. But Clegg leading the way up to 50.
Now Clegg had a great reaction time. Not a surprise there. He is a good starter, and he comes into this first 50. He's actually a little bit slower than Salai during that first heat. But during the second 50 is where Clegg needs to be strong. He is the world record holder in this event by quite a bit, but he could, of course, be challenged by Saleh. And right now he's really by himself now coming into this second 50. He is a bit behind world record pace, though.
He is, but the sprinter, Yaremenko, is looking good for a second place finish here. He's better over the shorter distances, and in this 100 fly, he might fancy a chance of a medal, but it is Clegg who touches ahead of Yaremenko, with Makarov coming home third quickest in this heat. Very simply done by Stephen Clegg.
So Clegg, good off the blocks here, and he immediately got into his stroke, and he started to really take this heat. He had a decent first 50. He's going to need to be a little bit quicker tonight if he wants to take down Saleh, which he should be able to do. But if he wants to challenge his world record, that first 50 is going to have to be a lot quicker. Now coming home, he showed just how strong he was. There was a little bit of charge from the other swimmers to his left and his right, but he was so dominant throughout that entire race. And a pretty comfortable swim overall for him.
So by my count, that's 5 swimmers, 60 seconds or under. This is going to be an entertaining final. Makarov 1 minute flat. Stephen Clegg 59.13 and a 59.72 for Yaremenko. Into the final we go. Indeed, the top 4 all sub 60 seconds. Roman Makarov exactly 67. Chufarov, Geraldo and Vashkevich make up the 8 finalists. To the heats of the women's 100-meter freestyle S11. Pagonis against Lee in the middle. That's going to be an interesting one. And then Margia, throw that name in the mix, because Margia has continued to surprise everybody with her incredible swimming. 2 gold medals and a silver. But she broke the 50-meter freestyle record 3 times. One was in a re-swim. The women's 200 individual medley champion as well was the Chinese swimmer Ma Jia, but that is Li Guixi, the World Championship bronze medalist. Ma Jia, has she got a world record here? Lisette Brainsma's world record could very well go. Although Brainsma, who will go in heat 2, has already swum times close to her world record this year. It could go here. Tkachuk of Ukraine goes in 2, Margia goes in 3, Pagonis, Lee, Shevchenko and Blatanova in 7 for Slovakia. But this is the women's 100-meter freestyle S11, and Li Guixi, the world championship bronze medalist, is looking very strong. Anastasia Pagonis alongside her, going strong as well. Margia a little more serene, composed and mature about her lead-out leg, while Shevchenko is not looking too bad for RPC. She looks well placed to make a bit of a move.
Yeah, Li Guixi out very quick. Pagonis turning there in second. And Ma Jia, surprisingly, she's in about 4th place going into that first 50 meters. Now, Ma Jia, and now she's hitting into the lane, which is really going to hurt her speed. She's got that brilliant 50 speed, but where we've seen her struggle time and time again is during the second half of a race, and she's doing that again here. Now, Li Weiji, though, she's not sitting anything. Look at her and how straight she's going. She's not even hugging the lane line. She's still continuing to swim straight. She's a little bit behind world record pace, though, but closing quickly.
Closing quickly is Pagonis, but Li Weiji is also in fine form as she comes home in Paralympic record time ahead of Anastasia Pagonis, with Anastasia Shevchenko touching third quickest overall. Magia touches behind Tkachuk of Ukraine. So Magia 5 of 6 she finishes. Tatiana Blatanova comes home now, but 105.92. That is within 8 tenths of a second of the world record.
So Tsai Lee won coming off the block. She got up pretty quickly. Pagonis a little bit farther off of the dive, but Tsai Lee won attacked this. She went out very quickly. And then she came back really nicely. She didn't really appear to cede anything going into that second 50, and she swam relatively straight the entire way.
It looks like the tap was missed, and she ended up hitting the wall a little harder than she might have expected, but it was a good swim. A 105.92 for Li Weiji.
Still waiting for the official results to be published.
So waiting for the official results. The officials do need to check the blackened goggles of the individuals. And once they're confirmed, we will have the official results. Even though the swimmers might have partial vision, all S11 swimmers are required to swim with blackened goggles.
And it is official.
So a 105.92. A Paralympic record then for Li Weiji of China. She finishes ahead of Anastasia Pagonis. Magia 5th overall. Pagonis will be challenging for another medal, but Magia down in 5th, just ahead of Blatanova. She might not even qualify for the final. Li Weiji, though, comfortably through to the final with that sort of time, you would have to imagine. Tkachuk, 1:14.71. She will need the second heat to be slower. Now, the second heat features 2 very good swimmers in the center lanes, in the sense that Pidubna is a world championship silver medalist, but the world record holder and world champion is Netherlands' Lisette Bruinsma. This is her strongest stroke. Although she's very good all round, a very good IMer as well. This is her strongest stroke. That's Pidubna, always with the swim cap over the goggles. Marina Pidubna, the world championship silver medalist and bronze medalist already at these games. Ono and Ishura go for Japan on the wide lanes. So Bruinsma getting off to that good start. Can the world record holder respond with a decent time here? She seemed out of sorts. She's been zigzagging plenty in these championships, and at the moment Tsai Lee Wen going out hard as we would have expected. Japan's Ishura as well, closest to your screen to you. Ishura Tomomi is looking to tear through the opening 50.
But Bruinsma right now, with the slight early lead, she is hugging that lane line, trying to stay straight. As you noted, she has been having trouble with this the entire meet. Bruinsma, good turn. Now, the question is, can she fight off that last-minute charge from Tsai Lee Wen? Now Bruinsma going into the lane, and she's using that lane now to correct herself to try and stay straight. This is only 100. It's a sprint. She cannot afford to add extra distance by zigzagging in the pool.
Now, Lisette Bruinsma is always, and I say always because it's never happened previously that she's failed to pick up more than multiple medals. She's only got 1 medal in her first 4 events. She needs something from this, and she is going to fancy winning gold here. But in terms of the heat, she's going to slide, glide, and cruise to the wall. Lisette Bruinsma well ahead of Tsai Lee Wen. Marina Pidubna touches 4th behind Polikarpova of RPC. So a little struggle in the pool for Marina Pidubna on this occasion. Ishura faded to finish 5th, and 6th is Ono Chikako. But Lisette Bruinsma, that was a very comfortable swim for Lisette Bruinsma, but in the slower heat, a 107.69 to win.
Now Bruinsma, she gets off to a good start. And what she does nicely in this preliminary swim is she actually stays pretty straight. She has been having a hard time with that throughout this entire meet. Some of the other swimmers a little bit going into the lane lines, but then Brenzema hears the tap, good turn here, and then she comes off of the wall. It's the second 50 where she started to go into the lane a little bit more, but then she used it to correct herself. Here's the tap at the end, and she comes in nicely to go a 107.69. It's a comfortable swim, but she's gonna have a hard time taking down Lee Wei-ji from that first heat that we saw, and Pagonis should also be strong in the final.
Yeah, indeed. This is the strongest event right now. Lisette Breinsma is the world record holder, but not the quickest of swims. It was a little zigzagging from her that cost her a title in Rio. Lisette Breinsma, though, the world record holder, is comfortably through to the final with a 107.69. Ahead of Tsai Wen and Sofia Polikarpova. Podobna should get into the final. Lee Wei-ji qualifies quickest in Paralympic record time ahead of world record holder Lisette Breinsma. Pagonis will have lane 3 for the final. Tsai Wen, a 110.74. And Ishura of Japan sneaks into the final for the home crowd. The men's 200-meter freestyle S3 heats are next.
This is the men's 200-meter freestyle S3 heats.
Zhou Liangkang, a bronze medalist at the World Championships, a multiple Paralympic Games champion, a man who's already won the 50 backstroke at this event. And while he won silver in the 50 freestyle, that was largely down to a little, well, out touching at the wall. This is Josiah Topf of Germany. He's upset a few already at these games. Still, however, looking for that first medal. World record held by Huang Wenpan.
This is heat 1.
So, Zhou Liangkang. It's Topf of Germany. Zhou Liangkang into the water. He'll go in 5 with Ostapchenko on his inside. First and second in his previous 2 events. Martinez of Spain going in lane 2. Yannis Kostakis of Greece going in the outside lane. The second lane, he's swimming in his 3rd heat, looking for a 3rd final here. Yannis Kostakis of Greece, but he's being left behind just a little. These are S3 swimmers all the way through in the men's 200-meter freestyle. It is a distance event for the S3 swimmers as they go 4 lengths of this pool, but leading the way is the German Josiah Topf.
Right, so Topf, this is exactly what he did in the 50. He has a beautiful start, and he's able to use his leg to get himself across the pool. The problem that he has, though, particularly against these other swimmers who have the use of 2 arms, is he's not able to sustain that speed. So as soon as the legs start to get tired, you see the other 2 swimmers start to take the lead because they're able to use their arms. Now, this is a 200 freestyle. That means the arms, they really do come into play. You need that strength to maintain your speed, to maintain your endurance throughout the entire length of the longest event available to this S3 classification.
So this is very much the distance event for the classification. Ostapchenko is looking decent as he goes in lane 4. Zhou Liangkang has been past the World Championship bronze medalist. Ostapchenko picked up silver on the occasion. Already twice a medalist at Tokyo 2020, having picked up the 50 back silver and the 50 free bronze. So Ostapchenko is coming to the wall ahead of Zhou as he touches at the 100.
Now, you can see one thing here is that even though this is the 200 freestyle, many of these swimmers, if not all of them, other than actually all of them, they're all doing backstroke right now. So the swimmers here, they do have the option to do another stroke other than freestyle, and that they're doing backstroke because that is the quickest stroke for them. They're able to use their arms and really get their stroke rate up even faster than they would if they were swimming on their front.
So largely using the backstroke indeed. Josiah Top is falling off the pace here, as it looks like Martinez is making up some good ground on the young German, the 18-year-old. Right, Ostapchenko and Zhou, they've got themselves well out in front here. And
yes.
Ostapchenko, great pace, wonderful turnover, high tempo from the Ukraine swimmer.
Yeah, exactly. Ostapchenko looking good, and Zhou coming back at him very hard. Both of them phenomenal backstrokers. And you know, Martinez, I misspoke. He actually is doing freestyle, so there is one swimmer in the field that is on this front. But right now, it's Ostapchenko and Zhou really leading the way. And Top really having a hard time keeping up here. His legs started to tire, and now he's quickly fading.
Certainly in the shorter distances, he would have felt they would have needed to capitalize on that. The 18-year-old German who finished 5th in the men's 50 freestyle when he looked so good for so long and indeed won his heat in the morning classifications. As, he looked to be among the 8 fastest swimmers. Ultimately, the 8 fastest swimmers, these two will be in amongst the 8 fastest swimmers, I have no doubt, for the final, as Ostapchenko and Zhou will finish 1 and 2. It looks like Martinez of Spain is going to come home 3rd, with Top of Germany just holding on for 4th. Ostapchenko, though, very comfortably home in a 3:27.49, just outside the sub 3:30 mark for Zhou. It is going to be Martinez who touches ahead of Top. A 3:53.38 for the German Top. Still out in the pool, 2 swimmers, Alexander Belyaev and this man, Yannis Kostakis. Just bringing it home with the front crawl, the Greek swimmer who is 49 years old, but a man who finds himself competing once again at the Paralympic Games after having gone to both Athens and Beijing before a little bit of a downslide in his swimming career, where he finished outside of all the finals in London, and then in Rio, where he made a host of finals. Kostakis comes home now in his 5th Paralympic Games. Denis Ostapchenko, 3:27.49. He's out in front.
So here you see Top using that underwater. He's very quick underwater, way ahead of everyone else. But where he runs into a problem, though, is that the swimmers that have the use of their arms are really able to take it once Top he loses steam. And Ostapchenko, he's got that high turnover, and he maintains it throughout the entire 200, which is so hard to do because it's 4 lengths of the pool. But Ostapchenko, he didn't really appear to tire here. Zhou also doing a good job trying to maintain the speed, coming back. But Ostapchenko, once he got out ahead, he really never ceded that lead. And Zhou coming in for a nice 2nd here.
Confirming the results for you, Ostapchenko ahead of Zhou Liangkang. Miguel Angel Martinez manages to hold on to 3rd ahead of Top. Belyaev, a 4:20 and a 4:31. It's well outside the seed time of Kostakis. To the 2nd heat we go. And the effervescent Grant Patterson will be making his way into the pool momentarily. Vincenzo Boni as well, the Italian who's finished outside the medals here, but an intriguing character who was a bronze medalist at the 50-meter backstroke. In the 50-meter backstroke previously. The world champion is Mexico's Diego Lopez, who goes in lane 4, and he'll be going along with Hernandez. There is Grant Patterson. He's had a fantastic games. It's Grant Patterson into his final event here, looking for his 3rd medal. The band you'll use to start. And there is Hernandez Hernandez, already the 150-meter individual medley champion. Lopez is looking to make it a double gold for himself and for Mexico, the 26-year-old, as he starts having won the 50-meter freestyle, hoping to put in a similar performance and claim the 50 and 200-meter freestyle double. Italy's Vincenzo Boni, Grant Patterson. Hernandez, a tendency to leave it all in the pool, and even in the preliminaries. But Lopez, perhaps the swimmer to watch. There is Lopez. The assistants holding the competitors to the wall, and away they go in this men's 200-meter freestyle S3 classification. Yusuf El Sayed of Egypt going in lane 1, among the rare contenders who actually swim the front crawl. Vincenzo Boni and Grant Patterson also swimming front crawl as the stroke, but the preference generally is the backstroke. And Diego Lopez, he's going with the front crawl as well, up against Hernandez here, who goes with the backstroke.
Yeah, Hernandez is using backstroke. Diego Lopez Diaz, though, watch out, because he may turn strokes within this heat, or he just may decide to turn strokes between prelims and finals. You never really know exactly what he's going to do. Sometimes the swimmers, they choose to relax their back muscles a bit by going with the front crawl because they spend so much time on their back. Every once in a while, they need a little bit of a breather. Grant Patterson, he's in about 5th position here, so he's not really able to hang with the rest of these folks, because in the 200, your arms, your wingspan, it's so important. You do need the distance, you do need the endurance to finish this. And Grant Patterson, sometimes he does start to fade a bit.
Well, then Vincenzo Boni going for Italy in lane 3. He's using the double arm backstroke technique, but he's pulling some good water here. A man who's qualified in communications and marketing after a degree at the University of Naples. He now works as an athlete outside of his day job as a police officer.
Wow, that's a big combination. Athlete plus police officer. It's got to be hard to balance that.
And fluent in a host of languages as well. Not to mention keeping it in the family. His partner, Carlotta Gili, has had great success in the pool already at Tokyo 2020. But Diego Lopez, as things stand, is leading the way. The Mexican star who is very comfortably stroking his way just into a lead that he can sustain. And he does have a decent turn for the swimmers in the S3 classification.
Now, the swimmers are very closely bunched together. You don't always see this in these lower classifications. Sometimes one of the swimmers just tends to dominate against the rest of them. But right now, Diego Lopez Diaz just slightly ahead of Hernandez. And Hernandez, he is having one of the best meets I've ever seen from him. He's got to be happy with his performance for everything. Hernandez actually touched first at the 150 mark there.
So Hernandez, yes, indeed. While he finished just outside the medals in the 50 free and the 50 back, in the 50 breast he was bronze medalist, but in the 150 IM he swam to an absolutely sensational victory for his first Paralympic Games gold medal.
And right now, Hernandez just slightly ahead of Lopez Diaz. Lopez Diaz, though, as we noted earlier, he is using freestyle. You never know what he's going to do for the finals if he decides to go on his back. That he does tend to use his backstroke to get himself out to an early lead. And right now, though, Lopez Diaz may just be trying to swim it pretty comfortably for this preliminary swim, not waste too much energy. 200 freestyle, the longest distance here, so you want to conserve a bit.
This is going to be the slightly slower heat, though, which means Diego Lopez is not going to be in the center lanes. Hernandez touches in 3:31.06, a 3:32.97 for Lopez, and Vincenzo Boni touches third, a 3:33.79. All relatively close to one another, separated by effectively 2 seconds. Hernandez from Boni. Coming home fourth quickest now is Serhii Palamarchuk. And Grant Patterson will be coming to the wall as he touches now to the swimmers remaining in the pool. Yuri Dvorsky makes his way to the pool, but going in lane one is the Egyptian swimmer as well. This is Yuri Dvorsky, Ukrainian swimmer who goes in lane 7, the 34-year-old who finds himself swimming his fourth event. He's not made the final of any of the events, and he missed out on the breaststroke final in London at the World Championships. Yusuf El Sayed, the 24-year-old youngster from Egypt. At his first Paralympic Games, much needed experience for a man who actually made the final of both the 53 and the 150-meter individual medley at the World Championships in Mexico City. And he'll be outside the final again for this men's 200-meter freestyle S3. Hernandez put a little distance in it, and he's suddenly finding himself in front.
So here on the start, all of the swimmers require assistance to keep them on the touch pad. Now, Diego Lopez Diaz, he uses the freestyle. Again, a bit surprising, given we know how quick he is in that backstroke, but Hernandez using the backstroke, he wasn't out first. It was Diego Lopez Diaz who really led for pretty much the entire first 100, but then Hernandez came back hard in the 150 and got himself to the wall first at the 200. An excellent swim for him, though this heat was slower than the first one. So Ostapchenko and Zoe going to be very hard to beat from that first heat.
That's exactly it, but Mexico will have two competitors in the final, and Vincenzo Boni is definitely going to be there with his 3:33. Patterson, I think, will miss out on the final of the 2:57. Palamarchuk should be in, but definitely two Mexican contenders. They will have to watch out against Ostapchenko and Joe. In the faster heats, they claimed the top spots. Ostapchenko qualifies quickest for the men's final, 3:27.49 to 3:30.85 for Zhou Liangkang, and then Jesus Hernandez and Diego Lopez ahead of Vincenzo Boni. Top is into the final. Now to the men's 100-meter butterfly S11 heats. Tomita Uchu is among those who will be hoping to swim to his potential, and final for Japan. And Namid from Spain, the world record holder, going back now to 2008. There is Tomita Uchu. He'll be swimming alongside Wendell Bellarmino Pereira of Brazil, among the faster times in the world this year. This is where you would have to be largely looking at. There is Wendell Bellarmino Pereira. Hua Dongdong of China goes in 3. Viktor Smirnov, incidentally, goes for Ukraine in lane 6. Always capable of producing something is the 35-year-old Ukrainian, who's already a silver medalist again at the men's 100 back. So men's 100 fly S11, and Tomita Uchu is the World Championship silver medalist and among the favorites to claim the title at Tokyo 2020. Although he and his Japanese compatriot Kimura Keiichi will be contesting the final alongside one another, is the hope of the hosts. And indeed, this stroke is looking so good from the World Championship silver medalist. He's leading by almost a body length here, coming into the 50.
Yeah, he is. There's the tap at the 50-meter mark, so he can come into his turn. The turn is great there. Here's the use of the underwater kick. He's now a body length ahead of the Brazilian. Oh, and then he goes into the lane. He needs to hug the lane, and it's so important in butterfly because if you start to get tangled, your arm speed gets really thrown off. But now looking good. He's corrected himself. He's straight. Looks great coming home.
So it is the Japanese fly star who is going to make his way home very comfortably ahead of Wendell Bellarmino Pereira, the Brazilian. Would simply be wanting to go around a 105. This is a quick time from Tomita Ucho, 103.32. As Bellarmino Pereira comes home in a 106, a 108 for Smirnov, the silver medalist in the backstroke. Tomita Ucho happily ahead of the Brazilian Pereira. Last to touch is Matias Reina Correa de Sousa of Brazil. Dong touching fourth quickest overall. Just behind Smirnov.
There will be goggles check here by the technical officials. We will wait.
So Tomita Uchu with the beautiful underwater. He gets out to a nice lead during this first 50, and he kept himself pretty straight, which is key for this S11 classification. They're wearing blackened goggles, and they can't afford to add distance. Tap his time nicely. We saw with Dorsman the importance of getting the tap and the stroke count right. Otherwise, you start to miss your turns. Here's where Tomita, he runs into the lane line. That's got to hurt a bit. But then he uses the lane to correct himself, and then he gets himself right into the wall for that nice finish, beautifully timed. And a good swim for him, 103.32.
Tomita Ucho, fastest in the initial heat. Uchu ahead of Wendell Bellarmino Pereira, and indeed the man with a dozen Paralympic Games medals, Smirnov, third. On to the second heat, and this is going to be the one to watch here, because Young Botun, Kimura Keiichi, Roger Dorsman, Mikhailo Serbin are all into the lanes alongside one another for this. It is Kimura Keiichi, the world champion and silver medalist of 2016, who will be the one to watch alongside Roger Dorsman. This is not his strongest stroke, but he's having such an exceptional championship with 3 golds in his 4 events. As Dorsman, 400 free, 100 breast, 200 IM. He's picked up 3 golds in 4 events, and in one of those he almost missed the wall entirely. And certainly the only event he failed to medal was when he missed the wall, had to go back and then touch the wall and then get on his way. Still touched 4th, only just outside the medals. Limbering up before plunging into the water here is Kimura Keiichi. Young Bozun. What a career for young Bozun. 2 bronze medals here at these games for a man who's a 5-time Paralympic Games champion. Kimura goes in 4, should be favourite as the world champ. Young Bozun and Roger Dorsman getting off to decent starts. Dorsman's underwater is sensational, but it is immediately alongside him in Kimura where the challenge is coming from. Kimura now is pulling ahead of young Bozun, and Dorsman holding pace with Kimura, but Kimura looking really good.
Kimura does look good, but Dorsman, though, as we noted, is having a phenomenal meet if he can just get his walls right here. So Dorsman gliding into the wall a bit. Kimura, he's going to have the better wall. As you can see, his fly underwater is better. Kimura, he also moved to the United States to train with Brad Snyder's coach for a bit. And Snyder has gone on to become the first United States man to win the individual triathlon. So you know Kimura's got the training background behind him. Now Kimura chasing that world record. He's a little bit off, but he's put significant distance between himself and Dorsman.
So Kimura is going to come home ahead of Dorsman here, it seems. So going for Japan, he's going to be just outside Paralympic and world record time. Kimura ahead of Dorsman, ahead of Cabraja of Canada. That's a good swim from the Canadian, the 19-year-old who's made the 400 free final, but other than that, Just delighted to get into the top 3 here. Yet another of the several mathematics students that we have competing at these games. Kimura Keiichi, though, a 102.25 for the world champion.
So Dorsman with that super quick reaction time, but it was Kimura who had the better underwater here, and Kimura does a nice job of keeping him straight. As they approached the first 50, you know, it was surprising here that Dorsman was able to go out with Kimura, but then Kimura blew him away during the second 50. You see he just continues to maintain that strong stroke throughout. He doesn't really lose his steam or endurance. And these S11 swimmers, you know, they can't afford to have a sluggish preliminary swim because they can't see the field around them. Kimura, he kind of glides into the wall a bit. That can be cleaned up for tonight's final, but overall a great swim.
Really solid swim from Kimura of Japan. He finished second in Rio. But in his home games, he wants to be on top of the podium. It's Kimura who is quickest in the second heat, ahead of Roger Dorsman. Matthew Cabraha, the 19-year-old Canadian, out swimming young Bozun and Mikhailo Serbin. That's a great swim from the young Canadian. Advancing to the final, Kimura Keiichi and Tomita Uchu. So looking good for Japan in terms of a 1-2 on the podium. Dorsman of Netherlands will always have something to say about that. He goes third quickest into the final. Wendell Bellarmino Pereira and Matthew Cabraha might have a shout at a medal here. Smirnov, don't discount him, nor Young.
Ladies and gentlemen, your qualifiers for tonight's final, the men's 100-meter butterfly has 11.
To the final event of this preliminary session, session 19. It's the final day of the swimming competition, and out marches the respective competitors for no fewer than 4. 4x100 medley relay 34-point heats. We've got Netherlands, Italy, People's Republic of China, and United States of America who do battle. The United States represented by Joseph Pepersak. Zach Shattuck was there, Matt Torres and Jamal Hill. This is the Italian side. It's Menciotti, Morlacchi, Barlam and Bicelli. There is Barlam. For People's Republic of China, Liu Fengqi, Yang Guanglong, Yang Feng and Xu Haijiao. And the Dutch team. Kerain Hensen, Tim van Dieren, Bas Takken and Thijs van Hofwegen. Shattuck. Netherlands, Italy, China and USA. Lanes 3 to 6. So this is the 4x100 meter medley relay, 34 points. And again, this is an opportunity to get swimmers swimming 1 stroke per leg. 4 legs, but 8 lengths of this pool in total. Each swimmer swims 2 lengths of this Olympic pool, and they're usually in their best stroke. Kerain Hansen is leading out for Netherlands. He touches ahead of Italy's Menciotti. Liu Fengqi touches next quickest for China. Joseph Pepersak is a little behind, but he is an S8 swimmer, and 2 S10 swimmers are going ahead of him. So the classification is cut at 34 points, meaning you can't possibly have more than 2 S10 swimmers on your team.
Right, and it's really strategic in terms of how you choose which swimmers are going to go. You have to take into account where in the program this fits. This is, of course, the last day of a 10-day meet, so some of these swimmers, they've had a very long program, they're tired, but you also have to think about, you know, how do I stack up the different classifications? The higher classifications tend to be faster than the lower ones, particularly as you get down into the 5s and the 6s. So you want to use those higher classifications to establish a lead or catch up from behind.
So Tim van Dieren is leading the way for Netherlands here as he goes in lane 3. Federico Morlacchi just making up a little bit of room for Italy. He's an S9 swimmer. They will have Barlam next, and then Federico Bicelli is the S10 swimmer to finish. Bas Takken will be next in the pool for Netherlands. He's an S10 swimmer, but Thijs van Hofwegen will finish off as the S6. China has just gone S8, 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 so they are low on points. And as things stand, it is Netherlands leading the way. The Oranje from Kingdom of the Netherlands. It's Tim van Dieren swimming the breaststroke. So while Yang Guanglong, the S8 swimmer, is looking to make up on Morlacchi, it'll be Bas Takken in the pool for Netherlands, and he should swim the fly rather well. He's already been in the pool for Netherlands today, going out in the individual medley, which is not the easiest of events to contest.
Barlam's going to have a hard time catching him. I mean, Barlam, he's been such a great swimmer during this meet. He's had a little bit of trouble coming back in his races. He proved himself as the king of the sprints by winning the 50, but then we've seen him, he's had some trouble coming back in the 50, but, you know, Bas Takken right now, he's out so far ahead, I don't think Barlam can catch him. But what Barlam can do is keep Italy in the race to see what happens on this freestyle leg, and of course Barlam can continue to extend the lead over the other swimmers in the pool, China and US.
So China will finish with an S8 swimmer in Chu Haijiao. Federico Bicelli will be in the pool next for Italy, the S7 swimmer. But the first of the last leg swimmers to go is Thijs van Hofwegen. He's an S6 swimmer, so there is potential to catch van Hofwegen in the pool. And it is trying to collate whose times in each event with classifications adding up to no more than 34 points. It will be that'll be the most challenging aspect of this relay.
Yeah, and this is what makes the relay so interesting. Right now in the water for the Netherlands, you have an S6 swimmer, and in for Italy is an S7 swimmer. So the question is, can the S7 run down the S6? Right now, though, the Dutch swimmer's looking very strong, but Italy is making up some significant ground during the second 50.
Jamal Hill has only just gone into the water for the United States after Pepersak, Shadak and Torres had led out. But right now, it's all about Thijs van Hofwegen, the Dutch swimmer who's leading Bicelli. Despite the fact that Bicelli is closing, you can see the Dutch swimmers gathered poolside screaming at him. The former Paralympic Games 400-meter freestyle silver medalist who brings it home for Netherlands ahead of Italy. And he's a man who's been crowned European champion over the 50 and 100 freestyle in his classification, Van Hofwegen, who comes in to touch ahead of Italy. China will finish third here through Chu Haijiao in the pool. And Jamal Hill, as the S9 swimmer, has plenty of ground to make up, but he is going to bring it home now for the United States. Chu Haijiao touching third quickest, but United States fourth. Clock not up. There is Van Hofwegen. Good win for Van Hofwegen, keeping Bicelli at bay. But a great lead out from Henson. Van Dieren extending that advantage. Bas Takken with a wonderful fly leg, and then Van Hofwegen bringing it home.
Now, the Italians and the Dutch were both out very quick during this backstroke leg. And they really, no one after that, neither China nor the United States could really even touch them. And here's the handoff from backstroke to breaststroke. And it was at this point, so the Netherlands just slightly ahead of the Italians here, but it was this leg the breaststroke, and then really Bas Taken's butterfly, where the Dutch really got themselves out ahead, and they put themselves in a great position because they ended with an S6 swimmer who had to hold off the charge from the Italians, finishing with an S7. That's why these relays are so fun to watch. Just the mismatch of the different classifications trying to run down each other, it makes it such an exciting race every time.
It does. Calculations out, but the Netherlands are in front. 4:19.68 for Netherlands, ahead of Italy, with People's Republic of China third quickest. United States a 4:50.05.
This is heat 2.
To the second heat we go, and the very last event of the preliminary session on the final day of the swimming competition. This will be event number 146. In the evening, it'll be the last gold medal to be decided. But going in the second heat, Japan, Australia, RPC, Spain, and Brazil. Going for Brazil in lane 6, Andy Pereira Garb goes. Juan Felipe Lima de Souza is an S10 swimmer. He'll go in the breaststroke leg, though, is an SB9. Felipe Rodriguez is an S10, and then Taliesin Glock will finish. For Spain, a strong lineup. Martos, Salguero, Levesque, and Martinez. RPC looked the strongest with Gladkov, Smirnov, Grigoriev, and Tarasov. But Australia, through Hodge, Cochrane, Martin, and Popham, could be challenging. For Japan, Kubota, Yamada, Minai, and Ogiwara. So Japan, Australia, RPC, and Spain, outside of Brazil, who go in lane 6. A little sluggish reaction time from Andrei Gladkov of RPC, but using his underwater nicely. So too Kubota Kota of Japan. Now, none of these teams are going out with an S10.
Now, that's a strategic move, though, because sometimes the S10 is more powerful catching up from behind because they can make up so much ground against those lower classes, and they can make up a difference of 5 seconds, 6 seconds, sometimes even 7, depending on who it is. Australia, though, looking great during this first 100, as expected. We know they know how to put out a relay. We saw that during the 4x100 men's freestyle relay, where Matt Levy and Ben Popham just had remarkable legs.
And the other thing to consider, of course, is Brazil look to be leading here, is who swims the fly leg. The fly leg is often so key when it comes to the medley relay as well. The strength of the higher classifications, you often have to go with the higher classification to swim the fly. So first to the wall is Australia. Timothy Hodge makes his way to the wall as Blake Cochrane is in the water now. For Japan too, it is Yamada Takuro in the water after the handover from Kubota Kota. And Brazil, Juan Felipe Lima de Souza is in the pool for the breaststroke, an SB9 swimmer. So they've gone S9, SB9. They'll go Rodriguez an S10 to swim fly, and Taliesin Glock, the S6 swimmer, with having so much success already, looking to try to guarantee a medal place for Brazil. They are still second at the moment behind Blake Cochrane of Australia, who's in the pool and looking to bring it home for Australia in front. But this is a good-looking breaststroke from Juan Lima de Souza.
And this is exactly what we would expect to happen when you have the higher class chasing the lower class and is able to take over a bit. This is going to give Brazil a nice lead going in to the butterfly, but watch out for Will Martin from Australia. He shattered the world record twice in one day, so you know he's going to be very difficult to beat. He just has to make sure he doesn't leave too early on that start.
It's something we've seen a few times already in the relays. The changeover is suboptimal, and we've had a host of disqualifications, but into the pool now, it is Brazil's Rodriguez who goes against Martin in the pool for Australia. Martin is looking really good right now. So too, though, is Grigoriev of RPC, who is coming back at the remainder of the field. And David Levesque is looking strong for Spain. At the moment, it is Japan who have faded. And Minai Akito has a lot of work to do to try to catch up
And look at that turn for Martin. I mean, he's a lower classification than Brazil right now, but he had a phenomenal turn, and we know what a quick butterflyer he is. And this leg right here shows just what a phenomenal butterflyer he is. I know I just said that twice, but I mean, look at it. Martin was able to make up serious ground against Brazil on that butterfly leg, despite being a lower class.
Yeah, indeed. Martin, three-time gold medalist, is looking to put Australia into a position from which he could become a four-time gold medalist at these games. Will Martin, some world records for Will Martin in the pool already. Denis Tarasov is in the water for RPC. Ben Popham in the water for Australia. Going for Spain is Carlos Martinez. Taliesin Glock is in the water for Brazil. And Ogiwara Kotaro, the S8 swimmer, is the last swimmer to go into the pool. But a battle deluxe developing between 3 and 4 with Australia and RPC. It's Ben Popham, an S8 swimmer, against Denis Tarasov, an S9 swimmer who should have just a little too much. The question here is whether or not Brazil are going to be holding on to third through Taliesin Glock, the S6 swimmer, against Spain's Carlos Martinez, the S8 swimmer. As Ogiwara is falling out of any contention for a medal place. It is going to be RPC who come to the wall first, as Tarasov touches ahead of Australia's Ben Popham. And third quickest to the wall is Taliesin Glock as he comes home third overall in the 4:27.08, a 4:29.67 for Spain, and a 4:32.18 for Japan. 4:32 for Japan, so they should be into the final. I think it's the United States who are going to miss out on a place in the final. But RPC, good combination, good strategy.
And there you have it, folks. On the board is the official results for the men's 4x100-meter medley relay, 34 points each.
Now, coming into this backstroke, Tim Hodge of Australia led off, and he got Australia out to a nice lead. Here was the fly. Coming into the freestyle, though, it was the freestyle where RPC just took over from Ben Popham. Ben Popham, we have seen him swim pretty much lights out in a 4x100 freestyle relay, but this time you just didn't see that energy from him, and RPC just flew right by him. Now, you have to wonder, though, what does Australia have in store for tonight's final? You never know with them. You can never count them out of a relay.
Some medley relay times to come. What a final event we have in the swimming competition of Tokyo 2020. It is the men's 4x100-meter medley relay, 34 points. RPC victorious in the second heat. They will qualify quickest for the final ahead of the Netherlands, as they've beaten Australia and Brazil in the heat. Advancing to the finals, RPC ahead of Netherlands, Australia and Italy. Similar times for them. They'll go in 3 and 6. Brazil and Spain, Japan and China will swim in the outside lanes. USA has not made the final.
Please join with us and thank our officials as they depart the pool area. Thank you.
That is where this preliminary is going to end. It is down to the very last session now. There will be 16 gold medals on offer in the evening session. But after a preliminary session, plenty of excitement, including some records and a massive world record. The smile of Daniel Doris, who set one of 2 world records in the pool on this final day of the swimming competition. In the preliminary session, the heats are done and concluded. 8 fastest swimmers and teams from the respective events have made their way through to the final. Go Japan, the message, but some massive swims this morning. What are you most looking forward to?
Well, there's, of course, the men's 4x100 relay. I just love watching the relays at night because you never know who's going to win based on their preliminary swim. They can also have the option of changing up the swimmers from prelims to finals. And, of course, just watching the different classifications battle it out. And then you can't discount the women's S450 back and women's 50 fly S7. Those should be great.
And Kripak should be on his way to yet another gold medal. That said, the battle continues with Raimondi. Join us then for the final session. That's it from the preliminary session on day 10.